Hey, everybody. Welcome to the C-Suite Sherpa podcast. This is where we take business executives and highlight them and their skill sets so you can meet them and use them in your networking opportunities. I can't wait for you to meet our guest today. His name is Peter George. He's the public speaker training at Peter George Public Speaking, Inc. I'm thrilled to have you here today, Peter.
It's a pleasure to be here, John. Thank you.
We're just going to jump right in because I don't want to take up your time. So, Peter, give us a snapshot of what your business is and the major outcomes that you get from most of your clients.
My business is helping people become better, more confident, more captivating speakers. A lot of people say it's the number one fear in the world. I still think death is number one. If you're falling 30,000 feet out of a silver tube, you'd rather be on a stage. You'd rather be in a meeting speaking. But with that said, I work with people, whether they're executives, entrepreneurs, other subject experts, and help them learn not only to speak to other people, but to actually communicate with other people. And in essence, John, to serve other people, serve their audience, serve their listeners.
Describe who your services work best for. Like, who's the people that you have the biggest impact on?
Mostly business people, let's say executives. It could be anywhere from a manager who's just moving up in his or her spot that needs to speak more often. They may never have spoken to any great degree before in front of others, and now they're leading and need to do that, all the way through presidents and CEOs of corporations who realize they've been there for a while and have the knowledge they need, but for some reason they don't feel confident that they're connecting with those they're speaking to. That includes both inside the company as well as outside the company.
Got it. That's the managers and the people doing training and going out and doing sales.
Salespeople, anybody who's speaking. You could be the director of marketing and just gotten that promotion. Now you're speaking to your team once a week and you want to be better at that. People out selling who aren't connecting with their listeners. The great thing about communication is it's a science of how brains connect, how bodies connect, body language and the like, but it's also an art. If you build that art around that scientific framework, you get a pretty cool result. And anybody can do it because it's not difficult. It's just knowing how to do it and practicing at it.
You've been doing this a long time, so that's great. I looked at your profile and you mentioned the AMPed framework. I'm guessing that's something we'd need to hear about.
The AMP framework is something I created. You can work methodically through building a foundation that will then allow you to build your actual presentation on it. The A in AMPed stands for audience. What many of us do, John, is we start building it, but we don't give thought to who our audience is. It's like, oh, it's my peers, my reports, the people who report to me. It's whatever. But no, you really got to know who they are. When you know who they are, now you can build an audience profile. Who are they? What are they going through? What do they want and need to know? How are they going to be transformed? And that's the big one. When you have a meeting, how is someone being transformed? John, have you ever been to a meeting, let's say an hour-long meeting, and when you've left, you said, I will never, ever get those 60 minutes back in my life?
If I had $1 for every time that happened.
We've all been there. It's worse when you're the presenter and everybody else is thinking that. But what happens in those meetings is people left the same way they came in, maybe with a little more knowledge about an initiative or a goal that could have been sent in a PDF by email. When you transform people in a meeting, they know meetings are worthwhile and they're more likely to participate. So whether you're speaking from a stage, in a sales training, in a meeting, a business meeting, a sales meeting, any of those, when people are transformed and you actually serve them, that makes a difference. That's why that A in AMPed is so important. Then we go on to message. And message is not what you're actually going to say, but what's your point? What are you trying to show them, get them to do? A lot of people ramble without knowing what their point is. Then it's presentation, and you actually build your presentation. You know who you're speaking to. You know what points you want to make. Now you build your presentation with a solid opening that grabs people's attention, 3 talking points that fill out point 2, your major talking point that you decided on in the message section, and then a compelling conclusion. Too many of us end with, well, that's my talk. It's kind of like saying, well, that's the end of the movie. No, it's got to come to a climax. It gets people to do something, think a different way, do something a different way, go out and accomplish something, something that fulfills them, something that transforms them. And then the D in amped is delivery. How are we going to deliver this? Body language, voice, all the components in those 2 aspects, because if those 2 aspects don't align extremely well with the message, people get confused. And when they get confused, they stop listening. Their phones come out, they daydream, they may even fall asleep. So you have to deliver it well. John, I'm sure you've been through this in life. Oh, I love it. No, you don't. This is a great gift. No, you don't love it. I can tell by the tone of your voice, and it's written all over your face. If we go into a meeting as a presenter or up on stage as a speaker, and our body language and our voice doesn't match that message, they're getting multiple messages, just like in that gift giving instance I just mentioned. And when they do that, nothing makes sense to them.
I'll go back to the point you made about you can't do any of that if you don't know your audience.
A lot of people skip.
It's like a speaker going up there saying, here's my brochure, and hoping, or Peter, you're probably running into people that are just throwing mud on the wall to see what sticks. Just tell every service and offering that they have, hopefully that it'll connect with somebody out there instead of doing it how you recommend is, hey, you know what, let's get to know your audience first.
Exactly.
Peter, what's the biggest challenge that your industry faces probably in the next 5 to 10 years?
Probably like a lot of industries, we're going to have to adjust to AI. AI is already being used in the public speaking industry. It'll continue to be. I hope it gets better. I'm sure it will over time. And in creating messages, as long as you can answer those questions we already talked about, then AI is incredibly helpful, actually. You put in the right info, it'll help you a great deal. But just creating a message to create a message shows you might not have the answers of who you're talking to, what their needs are, what they're trying to accomplish, how they're going to be transformed. If you don't put that information in, it just gives you a nice talk maybe, but it won't resonate with that audience. AI is huge.
I really can't imagine that AI is going to take away or substitute the impact part, initiate a change in your audience. I really don't think that AI is going to be able to do that.
Right now it can't, but I think somewhere down the line it will be. And I think it'll be great, truthfully, with your body language, evaluating body language and the like. I think it'll be able to do incredible things, but that might be a decade or more off.
Got it. Peter, share with us
the time when I won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, right. Way down the road.
Yes.
So, Peter, share with us real quick. Just take about a minute and share with us real quick your most impactful client that you took from start to finish and the difference that you made for them.
I'll give you an example. It's the president of a global company. Called me and said, I'd like to work with you. And I said, well, everything you've accomplished, why do you need to work with me? And he said, because I want to be a CEO, not just a president. And to be a CEO, it requires even greater public speaking skills. I said, I'll buy that. And we worked together, John, and it was great. The two of us just worked so well together. And by the time we were done, this man who's accomplished so much has worked in the US, Mexico, Europe, leading major companies, said to me, Peter, I hired you to help me be a more effective public speaker, and you did that. The incredible level of confidence that I would reach through this process was one of the greatest compliments I ever got. When people come for public speaking training and they get that training, they become more effective speakers. But what they truly get is a level of confidence that permeates their entire life.
So, Peter, what comes first? Confidence or being a great public speaker?
I think you got to work on both. comes from competence. So as you become better at something, you get more confident at it. And as you get more confident, you can work on it more and see your progress. It's a never-ending buildup of the two, as long as you keep working on it. Once you stop working on it, it's like most skills in life. If I put down my guitar and I don't pick it up for 6 months, I can think I'm as good as I was, but I'll have to play a bit to get there.
I remember the last time I didn't go to the gym for 6 months.
It's funny how that works.
No, that's great stuff. I appreciate that, Peter. So we're going to shake things up. I'm going to do a quick lightning round to get you some top of the mind answers. So coffee or tea?
Tea.
Dogs?
Basset hounds.
If you could only grab one item during the zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
A plane.
An airplane?
Get the hell out.
Favorite quote or phrase that you think about often?
Probably from my dad, and it's an often used quote in sports. You are what the statistics say you are.
No hiding. Stats don't lie. That's great. What about your favorite movie?
Favorite movie is Patton.
And do you have a favorite streaming series or show, Netflix?
One of them that my wife and I just binged through and caught up with is Lincoln Lawyer.
Lincoln Lawyer. Yeah.
Great show.
What about book? You got a favorite book?
Other than mine?
Yeah, for sure. You got a copy? You can hold it up real quick.
That's it.
That's the favorite book. All right. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
So tell me the name of that book, The Captivating Public Speaker. So
Yep.
besides your book, Peter, what's an alternate?
Anything by James Michener. He wrote Hawaii, Centennial, all these massive books that were just incredible.
What about a bucket list item that you've already accomplished?
This is going to sound odd, but I'm 66. Last year on July 4th, I had emergency open heart surgery because my aortic valve decided it didn't want to be 67. The bucket list was to make 60. Men in my family don't live to be 60, including my dad. He died 4 months ahead of 60. My brother didn't make it. Uncles didn't make it. Grandfather didn't make it. I'm the second one in 5 generations to make it. It does.
Tell me about a bucket list item you haven't accomplished yet.
My wife and I want to retire from Rhode Island and go north to Maine.
You got a time frame on that, Peter?
2 years.
Awesome. How about the biggest obstacle you had to overcome and the lesson you learned from it?
Biggest obstacle I had to overcome. I grew up with a lisp and a stutter. So I had to overcome those. The thing I work on and try to get by a lot with, John, is even with all that I've accomplished in life, and I've been very lucky, very fortunate, mostly because of the people around me, including my best friend, my wife, is every once in a while, the imposter syndrome sneaks in. I'm like, I was just a poor kid from Providence, Rhode Island. Who am I to be doing this?
And how'd you overcome that?
I haven't overcome it completely. I grew up playing sports. When you play sports, you're in the limelight, even in high school or levels after that, college, whatever it might be. When you're up to bat, all eyes are on you. I think just growing up that way was, okay, it's just what you do. You go out there and all eyes on you and you live with it and move forward. Every once in a while I stop and go, who am I to be doing this?
That's great to hear from someone as accomplished as you are, Peter. If any of our viewers want to collaborate with you or reach out to you, Peter, where would they go first? How's the best way to reach you?
On my website, petergeorgepublicspeaking.com.
Anything they need to do on the website? What do you have them focus on?
Well, it depends what they're looking for. If they want to find my book, they can find it there. If they want to see what it's like to work with me one-on-one, they can do it. If they happen to be in an organization that wants to bring a speaker in to help their members, they can find out more about my speaking to associations there.
Sounds great. You got a LinkedIn profile?
On LinkedIn as well.
Hey, Peter, I really appreciate you taking the time to spend some time with us today, and we'll connect soon.
Thanks so much, John.
You bet.